Folks, good evening. Welcome to the ECR Zoom room for the Aeronautical presentation today, 1st of May, 2025. Wow, almost 5 months have gone by on 2025, and we're still, you know, tasting the turkey from Christmas Day. So here we are. Nice picture of an Airbus, I think it is. The flight level 380 flying over us today. And as we've been going over this for many weeks, Dick's not going to be able to join us today. He's up on a medical appointment, and we'll be doing this without him. I'll share him the video link so he can go over it and enjoy it as we will on this aeronautical presentation. It's a simple video. It's got a little notes on the sides, and it's going to be pretty well explained throughout the video. It's 30 minutes. We have initially like 8 minutes of me just talking about the frequencies and the antennas we use. Then we get to the airplane. We play with the airplane a little bit. Then I'm going to show you how we do the walk around and check everything before we go out and fly. And finally, I'm going to let you in the cockpit and see how we crank up the APU and get the avionics online. After that, I'll have a bunch of pictures for you to go around and ask questions. And I will share the manual, the operating manual and the information manual for the KHF 950, 990, which is the system we basically operate in most of our aeronautical mobiles. And as I was saying before, for those who just joined the Zoom meeting, that link's gonna have the manual for the HF system. It has a lot of information, not about just the workings on the plane, but very useful information about frequencies and channels, and a chapter about propagation that I'm pretty sure you guys already know. But reading always about radios and radio and playing radio is always a fun stuff to do. So with that being said, let me grab my file here with the video, set it over here. Let me pause it here. I'm gonna set this up here, and I'm gonna share my screen so everybody can screen. Let me share sound and optimize for video sharing. Are you guys ready?
Of course.
Okay, you guys watching my computer now?
Did you share with sound?
Yeah, I did share with sound.
Okay.
If you don't hear the sound, just let me know so I can start it again. Okay, so here we
Good.
go. We ready?
Ready.
All right, welcome aboard, guys. Hey, guys. What are you doing in there? Zoom room this early in the morning. Oh, right. The HF Aeronautical presentation. Well, you're gonna have to give me a couple minutes. I'm not at the airport yet. I can fix that real quick. Be back. Hello, everyone. While driving to the airport, I thought I'd make this little video, little introduction or briefing, if you want to call it like that, on what we'll do today with the cameras and the videos and the part of the presentation we're gonna have with you guys in the upcoming weeks. Once we get to the airport, we'll pull out the airplane from the hangar so we get better lighting, and I'll come around with the camera, get close and personal, and show all the details of the antennas that are installed in the airplane. We use different bands, so we use different antennas for those bands, and starting with the the most used antennas in the airplane, which are the VHF COM and VHF NAV. The VHF COM for the aeronautical band. It's just under 2 meters. It'll go from 118 megahertz to 136.97, so 137 megahertz, just under the 2 meter band. And the other VHF antennas we use are receive only, which are the VOR, VHF Omni Range. That's a navigation type of antenna. It works with ground-based systems or units or transmitters that send out two different signals. They're timed signals. Let me see if I can put it easily and super simple for you guys. It's a transmitter. Let's say it transmits 2 pulses per second. One, it's every top of the second, and the other one goes around 360 degrees every second. So it's like a, timed signal, like a directional signal, I would say. It's not directional per se. It's not an antenna that's rotating. It's the transmitter. It has different, antennas or inductors around the main antenna, and the offset of the signal will be interpreted by the receiving radio and decoded in a bearing from the station. So let's say you are south of the station. The pulsed signal will be received half a second later than the reference signal, and it'll decode that 0.5 seconds as 180 degrees. If it's a quarter second, you're on the east side. If it's 3/4 of a second, you're on the west side. That's just an easy version of how it operates. Yeah, of course, it's more intricate than that. It's not a second, but I use a second just to give the example and make you guys, use pretty more easy units on that navigation. That's a VOR antenna. It's receiving antenna. That also uses the ILS transmitter for instrument landing systems. When the weather is down low or the visibility is very, very poor, we use the ILS. That's an instrument landing system that uses the same concept of 2 different signals and a decoder in the airplane to give you guidance, lateral and vertical. Those 2 guys also use the VHF frequencies. The localizer, which is the lateral guidance, will use anything from 108 to 111.9 megahertz, the lower band of the VOR range. The glide slope, it uses, if I'm not mistaken, I can look it up and probably answer it later in the Q&A section of the presentation. If my memory serves me well, it uses also close to 300 megs, somewhere in the close to meter range, 315, 320. I'll dig it up and I'll give it up on the Q&A section. So those are the VHF comm and navs. Then we have the DMEs, distance measuring equipment, which shares the frequencies with the transponder. The transponder is a radio that we use. It's a radio. We don't talk over it. We select a code, and the radar on ATC side will see our airplane and identify us with specific code, so they know it's us we're flying. That operates in 1030 megahertz and 1060, 1030 megahertz and 1060, 1.03 gigs for interrogation and 1.06 gigs for replies. The DME, which is a distance measuring equipment, it measures the slant range, which means that it measures the distance from the airplane to the station, not the projected over the earth, which is something different. It would be like the shadow of the sun when it is overhead. This is the slant range, meaning that it'll measure the distance from the airplane, where it is up there at 40,000 feet or 35,000 feet or 3,000 feet, to the receiver. Yes, that is true. When you're over the station at 40,000 feet, which is roughly 8 miles, let's say 7.5, 8 miles, your DME will read 8 miles. So it will read the altitude. So that system operates in between 930 and 1260 gigahertz, or 1.2 gigahertz, 1.26. They share the frequency with the transponder. What else? The radio altimeter, it will send some pulses down to the ground and measure distances closer to 2,500 feet, 2,500 feet. So it is used for approaches and instrument landings. It'll give you, obviously, the absolute height over the terrain. There's been an ongoing issue with the 5G systems on the telephone, on the cell phones. They've been known to interfere with the 5G antennas and systems on the radio altimeters on the airplanes. And the FAA has issued a few alert bulletins, you know, either canceling or putting on hold a few of the approaches, or the fine-tuned approaches, Cat 2, Cat 3 approaches into some airports because of interference issues with those cell towers around the area. So yeah, that's been detrimental to the airports that very often use those approaches because of the weather conditions that prevail in those areas. So the pilots either have to choose another approach, or they have to choose another runway with higher minimums for the approach. So let's say that the clouds are at 150-foot ceiling, and the approach that's not very trusty cannot be used. You'll have problems getting into the airport if the next approach available, the minimums are over that height over the terrain. All right, I'm getting close to the airport. I'm gonna see you in a few minutes, right when we get the airplane out of the hangar. See you later, guys. At the airport, Alex is taking care of the electro on the airplane. Across to those sides so I can get the nose strap and all that stuff. And we'll be doing that video shortly. This is the Aeronautical Mobile, one of the ones we use. November 82 Hotel and 2HH. We use phonetics all the time while talking on ATC. So there's a bunch of antennas that come out right away when you look at the airplane. A bunch of bumps on top of the airplane, a crooked antenna, another big bump, another big antenna back there, and down here. If you see an antenna down there, you're lucky because there are a bunch. So starting with the top, these two bumps over here are the GPS antennas, along with that third one. That one over there in the center of the screen, and that one over there in the center of the screen are ADF antennas, automatic direction finding. It's an automatic direction finder. It will put a pointer on top of the HSI, which is the instrument that gives you bearing, range, and distance to the stations. That will let you know where the transmitter on the ground is relative to your heading. That crooked antenna over there, along with another one right here behind the door, are the VHF COM1 and COM2 antennas. We have two VHF radios to talk with the tower here, and those operate in the 2.1 and change meter frequency, 2.7 to 2.3, something like that. Is 118 megahertz to 136.9785 or something like that. Almost 137 megahertz. And that's the ATC VHF antennas. Coming on top of the airplane, another hump. That's the sat phone antenna. Iridium or Inmarsat, it all depends on the frequency they use, but it's high gigahertz. Can't remember exactly what frequency, but we can discuss it on the Q&A section on the presentation. That's an HF data link antenna. It operates between 2 megahertz and 10 meters, between 160 and 10 meters. There's other versions of the data link. They use satellite and VHF, and the SAT frequency is going to be discussed also. And the VHF frequency, it uses 136 megahertz and some odd number after that, 136.585 or something like that for data link. And back here we have another antenna which is often used for the ELT. The ELT is a radio that operates in a VHF frequency, and nowadays it also operates on UHF to be used with satellites. The ELT is emergency locator transmitter. Something happens, that thing will go off and it'll transmit the signal so the SAR crews can find us. And that little antenna back there, it's a marker beacon, another radio aid for landing under instrument conditions. That'll help us determine our position along the flight path to the runway. And finally, back there to the tail, we have the leading edge on the vertical stabilizer, which is the antenna for HF communications in the airplane. It's a notch type antenna that is driven by an antenna tuner, or an antenna coupler as we call it. A big unit back there. I'll show it to you later in pictures, that manages to tune that piece of metal and make it work as efficiently as we've seen before on the aeronautical mobiles. Back there, the tail section, vertical tail, the elevators, we also have a few of those. Might be popping up. And right here on the wings, we have the so-called static wicks. The static wicks help us dissipate the static electricity that builds up in the airplane when it flies through the air. Static electricity builds up with friction, and if it's clear air, not much of a static electricity will build up in the plane. But when you're flying through clouds and ice crystals, the amount of electricity that builds up in the airframe is huge, and it's enough to blank every single radio operating inside the aircraft. On the right side, we have a better view of the antennas, vertical stabilizer, and that little wing in there is the VOR antenna. That's another VHF receiving antenna for navigation purposes. VOR means VHF Omni Range. Once again, the antennas from the right side, VHF COM, ADF, GPS, ADF again. And on the right side, bottom, VHF COM1, VME antennas, and transponder antennas. Let's get to the bottom here and show you the radar altimeter antennas, which operate in the 5G band. This flat one here, and the other one back there, 5G antennas. They send a directional signal down to the ground, and they will bounce off the ground, and based on the time that the radio determines from the transmission to the reception of that signal from the antenna, it'll give you a distance or an altitude from the ground. Airplane's fueled up, pulled up in front of the hangar, ready to go. Let's go around it and check the operational status of the airplane, okay? Come out of the main gate, main door, check the general condition,
no scratches, bumps, missing parts, nuts and bolts, everything. The pitot, which is the sensor for the airspeed indicator on the captain's side, it's clean, nothing sticking in there. The nose gear, the scissors, the tires are good. The strut is not leaking, it's clean, everything looks good. No flat tires, the nose is good. We have no scratches, no bumps or anything broken or missing, all good. General condition, no leaks. The O2, the right side pitot tube is also good, clean. They removed before flight streamers have been taken out. The AOA vane, it's also clean, good, and in the ground position. The static ports on the right side, they also have to be clean. These guys measure the static pressure from the air when you're flying. Whereas this thing here, the pitot tube, measures the dynamic pressure. Both of those things in conjunction with each other will give you altitude and speed. The antennas and the belly of the airplane, all in good condition, nothing broken or hanging loose. The leading edge of the right wing, also good condition. The boots are very well maintained, not broken, and sticking to where they have to stick. The right main landing gear, 2 tires, good condition. The light, all the rods, connecting rods and bolts and nuts are good. No leaks under the brakes. Under the wing, we take a look, everything good. Also, no leaks. Good condition. Coming right around the right wing. The lens for the nav lights are there. No scratches on the wingtip, winglet, or anything. The 4 static wicks are in place. The aileron looks good. The flaps with the actuators on the Kutchman carrots, they're in place. They're looking good. The fueling panel is latched close, 2 up here and 2 on the bottom. The brake assemblies are also good. No leaks. Everything looks good on the strut and on the gear well. Tires are good. You go back here, again under the fuselage, no hydraulic leaks, no oil leaks. Spanking clean, that's how we like it. Go up here, nothing stuck in there, no debris, no birds nesting, nothing. Generator inlet, it's also clean. Drain mast is also clean of foreign debris. Thrust reverser, the right leading edge on the right horizontal stabilizer with its 4 static wicks. The vertical tail is also good. The DU exhaust is clean. No room before flight streamers or caps in there. Elevator's looking good. Rudder's looking good. Trim tabs aligned. VOR antennas up there. Tail section, both engines looking good. Left elevator with the left horizontal stabilizer, the 4 wicks also there. Come back up there to the rudder, vertical stabilizer. Tail looks good. Trim indicator where it should be indicating. The accessory well cover and doors closed. The cargo compartment is open. We're waiting for the packs bags. Once again, left side, generator inlet, an engine inlet. Nothing in there, no birds, no nothing, no stones, no cell phones, no keys. Teddy bears. Left gear, also good condition. Everything's in place, no leaks. Good amount of strut showing right there. The gear well is also good, tidy, nothing, nesting in there. Under the left wing, also good, no leaks on the ground, no apparent damage. Carrots are good, tracks are good, flaps are down. Yeah, go ahead. left aileron looks good. Sounds good. Left wing static wicks. The leading, the winglet leading edge looks good. Slots are deployed. Left hand nav light and strobe light lens is looking good under the wings. Wicks good condition. Everything looks to be in place. Leading edge flap. Alright, we're getting it online. That's the hydraulic pressure, hydraulic pump to lift the hydraulic pressure for the brakes. Left gear looks good, just as the right one does. And under the airplane, left side static ports, they look good. And that concludes the quick walk around on the airplane. Now, you have to get it running. That's Alex doing the tests and the checks in there before cranking up the APU, which is the auxiliary power unit. Will give us air and electric for the systems before we crank up the engines. I'll see you in the air. Now sitting inside the hellhole here, which is the aft cone of the airplane, which contains a bunch of the systems needed for, safe operation of the flight's hydraulic systems, power supplies and other things like these orange boxes, which are the ELT and the flight data and cockpit voice recorder. Black boxes, you know what they are for. And the HF system, this airplane is installed with the KHF 950. This is one of the parts for the system. This is the receiver transmitter, or as they call it, the receiver exciter in the manual. That's the main computer for the HF. That's the one that's connected to the head in the front in the cockpit. And this one, it's also part of the HF system. That's our antenna tuner. We call it the coupler. The coupler works with solid state capacitors inside to tune the appropriate frequency we're requesting from the cockpit. It's filled with inert gas nitrogen to isolate it from humidity, since back here you get temperature swings that go from like 140 degrees to -70. Condensation and humidity might play a bad role with electronics. If we try to go to the other side here, we see the grounding strap and probably, I don't know if I have this good, the antenna connector up there. And that one goes to the antenna up in the vertical stabilizer. The antenna is a notch style antenna, which is the one they use for that application. Hey, once we are inside the airplane, the cockpit, I'm going to show you how to start it up real quick, and then we'll run through the checklist. When you get into the cockpit, the first thing with the landing gear handle is in the down position, and then we're going to select the parking brake to park. All right. Now we come to the overhead panel. We go to battery override load reduction, and then we kick open the APU door. Everything's going to come online slowly but surely. Then, when that thing finishes the boot up and the colors are pretty, we have that cast line that says APU door open. Now we get the right hand standby fuel pump so we can feed the fuel to the APU, and we start the APU. You're going to see the RPM and the temperature come up here. When it reaches 98, you're going to see APU available in green on the CAS messages up here, in the top right hand corner. Are you ready? So now, if you generator avionics masters 1 and 2, dimmer battery on, bring the other fuel pump on, check the lights, and get the FMSs running. My HF is running already. And that is how you bring the airplane online from a cold start. Hope you like it.
All right, guys. Now let me see how I do this so I can get my cameras again. Show meeting. Here we go. All right. So still sharing my screen, I think. Okay, share screen again.
Yeah, there's a stop share button.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Share my screen. I want to share it with the pictures. Hold on. Okay, you guys see me?
We can see you.
Perfect. Let me get this thing squared away again and get it where I need it. There we go. Oh, we see that the screen. I'm gonna bring up a few pictures here. Any questions?
No, Carlos.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Fascinating presentation, Carlos. This is kind of an odd question, but it came to mind, so I might as well ask it. Is there any practical application for a ZEP antenna in modern aviation? I half expected to see a wire antenna in the back with a big old hand crank that someone could pull in and out of the aircraft.
Yeah, there's old airplanes and slow airplanes, the prop airplanes from the 40s and the 50s, they used the ZEP antenna. Nowadays, with the high performance airplanes, they are just using the regular wire for the slower jets, or the notch or shunt antennas that are built into the tail section of the airplanes. I think the main reason for stepping away from the ZEP antennas is that you have to trail that cable, and if something happens and you cannot retract that cable back there, it would pose a hazard for the people that's down here. When you're landing, you might get that thing tied to something, and it might cause any damage. So I guess mainly aerodynamics and advances in electronics and transmission, and antennas. So they use the notch and shunt antennas.
Thank
I
you.
think it'll be a pretty complicated system. It's just something else to break if you got to reel it in and reel it out every time you want to use it.
Right.
Carlos, I have a question too.
Sure.
So you know how you have the radio in your plane? Like it seems a little bit more basic, but like harder to use than like your regular like ICOM 7300 transceiver. Is it hard? Do you find it hard to use at all? Is there any main difference between an actual like regular transceiver I would have in a shack?
It is a dumbed down version of whatever we have here. All the Yaesus or the ICOMs. We have all the bells and whistles because we have the time and we have the brain power to put into the radio and try to fine tune all the filters, all the volume knobs, and all the waterfalls and all the bells and whistles that the radios have. This is basic communication on HF. All we have is the clarifier, we have the tuning knobs, we have the volume knobs, and the function knobs that will change from USB to LSB and AM in some cases. Here in this picture that I'm showing in the screen, we have a top row, the second row with volume knobs, and the third row. Those 3 rows on the top are all audio.
Okay.
Okay. So the first, if you see on the left side, there's like a bracket with audio in there and the 3 rows showing the audio. So this thing will control the audio either on your speakers. If you push this button right here, you will be using the speaker on top of the cockpit, right? So the audio will be coming, the audio from whichever radio you select down here will be coming through the speaker on the cockpit. All right. If you deselect it, it's going to go to the headsets. You're going to be hearing it on your headset. So the cockpit environment is going to be quiet on the outside, but you will be listening to the communications, either HF, COM1, COM2, VHF, ADF, whatever you want to listen on your headsets, you're going to be having it on your headsets. This little knob in front, in the top center, is the main volume. I couldn't get the angle right, so it reads VOL, volume. That manages the volume for all the radios. Right here, we have a filter that's mainly used, not like in the sense of like we use notch filters in HF or noise blankers. That filter is only operable for the nav radios. On the nav radios, you have a signal that's Morse code that identifies the ground station being the ground station that's transmitting that signal. That's one way to identify one by the frequency, but you might have a couple of radio stations that use the same frequency that are probably 200, 300, 400 miles apart. That's for the nav only. And then you might want to know which one is the right frequency that you're choosing. It's only one frequency. How do you know you're receiving the right radio aid, right? So that radio aid will transmit a 3-letter Morse code identifying that radio, probably with the city name or the airport name, or 3 letters like in Dulles is IAD, like in Dallas is DAL or DFW. Miami is going to be MIA. Chicago O'Hare is going to be ORD. So you get the Morse code filtering. You get the Morse code in that signal. That's the way how you identify that radio station. Sometimes those radio stations transmit weather data, and that Morse code can be just like on top of the voice that's being transmitted on those frequencies. So you hit the filter, and that will filter out the Morse code, so you'll get the voice. On the following line, on the following row, we have COM1, COM2, which are the independent volumes for the COM1 or COM2. This is the main, and these are the secondary volumes for the COM1, COM2. You can have one a little less volume than the other. Same here for the ADF1, ADF2, and the buttons for the markers and DMEs. You can also identify the markers and the DMEs in the same way we identify the nav radios. And down here, which are the most used ones, are the COM1, COM2. These are the 2 radios that we most use while we're flying. The bottom row, let me get that out of the way, is the active microphone. You only have one active microphone while you're flying, right? Is the one that you have in your headset, on your headset. The pilot has one, the co-pilot has another one, and we have a couple of standby handheld microphones on the side, just in case the headset malfunctions or goes haywire, the microphone dies or something. We have multiple ways of getting out. So when you push this button, you're going to be transmitting through COM1, and by default, the audio that's going to be coming in through your headset is going to be COM1, regardless of this button position. If you switch to COM2, COM1 will jump out. You're not going to be using it anymore, and now you're transmitting on COM2. Default audio is going to be COM2, but I can monitor COM1 while I'm transmitting on COM2. I push this button in, and I'll hear COM1 along with COM2. Same here with HF1, HF2, the PA for the passenger address, the baggage compartment. Someone's back there loading bags, and it's bad weather. You're inside the cockpit, and the person back there, the co-pilot or the other guy, wants to talk to you. You can select that button and hear it on the intercom. That's pretty much it. We have the hot mic, which is a kind of a Vox button, so we don't need to be pushing the PTT when we're talking to the co-pilot or the pilot. That's pretty much it. And the radio down here, this is the head for the 950. We have a two knobs here, concentric knobs. One's for the volume, the other for selecting the frequency, channels, the mode for the transmission, the squelch, and this is the optional, I can't remember what that is. I have to go into the manual. We never use this one. And the tune knob, which is to tune the frequencies up here. That is it on that part of the HFs. Any
Okay.
other questions? Questions? Any other questions? No?
For anyone
Thank you.
who's interested, the audio panel, how it had a HF1, HF2. A lot of times when Carlos and I are flying, we each have an HF head, one side, one. So a lot of times we'll be flying along, and like you say, it's not as easy as like the ICOM where you can just spin the wheel. It's very clicky, so you're going by what is it, like 1 kilohertz, or 1 hertz, so you have to like really spin the dial 10 times just to get to the next, the next available frequency. So you're clicking it 10 times, you listen, 10 times, you listen, and pretty soon your hand gets tired. You got to swap arms, while you're dialing. So it does take a while. But like, I might be on 20 meters, and Carlos might be hunting photo on 40 meters, and whoever gets who first, like, oh, I got somebody. As soon as you make the contact, you go, well, I got a second operator. We would just go from HF1 to HF2. I'd make the call there, make the contact, and then I'd go back to listen. Those buttons, and we're both using independently the HF radio.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we operate when we're airborne. And thanks, Alex, for being there. Alex is driving from Fort Lauderdale back home. He had to take an airplane from Gainesville down to Fort Lauderdale, so he's joining us via cell phone, driving on the Turnpike North. So yeah, when we're flying, someone has to take care of the COM1 or COM2 with ATC side. We don't want to be NORDO or no radio or go no radio with them. That would create a problem for us. While let's see, I'm flying co-pilot that time, and Alex is just like staying on COM2, listening or talking to ATC, and I'm hunting POTA or hunting or talking to Roger on the 20-meter net or whoever's out there doing HF. I get a frequency down here, and I'm on HF2, which is the one on my side. Alex is on COM2 talking to ATC, so I do my contact, I make my QSO with Roger, and when I'm done, I tell Alex, it's Roger, KO4QMM on HF2, and then I'll jump in to COM1. Now I'm listening to the tower or ATC, and then Alex jumps to HF2. He's not listening to ATC anymore. I'm listening to ATC, and he's now on HF. He makes his QSO with Roger, and then when he's done, he starts either jumping to another frequency to hunt for POTA or getting the next QSO, and then that's the way we alternate in the cockpit while we're doing this aeronautical mobile.
I've got one more question.
Yes.
Are there any unique propagation effects that aviation's involved with that we don't experience on the ground?
The propagation effects, I would suggest you go into this manual here. I'm going to select this thing. Hold on, give me a sec. I'm going to put it there again so everybody can have the manual once again. And there's a chapter that explains the propagations up in the air, but it's basically the same thing. We're closer to the layers, and the angle, the skip angle, is going to be shallower, so we will reach a little bit farther. But we'll have, depending on the altitude too, we'll have a skip zone, which is sometimes it sometimes plays a bad number, and you like it happened last week with Roger. We were taking off out of Gainesville going up to Teterboro in New Jersey, and we were just breaking the speakers in the airplane. They were 9 + 40 or something like that, and then after 10 minutes we were only like 160 miles away, and we completely lost them. So there's a page in that manual that explains it. Let me see if I can open it here and show it to you real quick. Hopefully it'll open. And it's all right. Yes, here we go. Boom. So that's the manual for the airplane, for the HF, and we have a bunch of stuff here. Section 1, it explains how the radio operate, that specific radio. It gives you the system descriptions. And we go down here. You can just go down there and check it when you have time. There's some propagation things here. Let me see. I can remember exactly where it is. Let me go down here. Find it like that. So it explains a bit how it works. So there's plenty of information here. There's a bunch of pages. I won't be able to find it here in such a quick, short notice. But yeah, it's. I suggest going through it. There's a bunch of information here, not only about the radio, but about the services.
Thank you, Carlos.
You are very welcome.
I have a question.
So,
This is JC2STO. My name is Charlie. I just want to thank you for presenting this well-gifted presentation. It was very interesting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know, you don't get enough praise and gratitude for all that you do and all the work behind the scenes and all the hard work you put into it.
Thank you. That's really appreciated.
Well,
I thank you.
Yeah. I do some presentations for Skywarn, and
Okay.
I do know how much I put into it, and I'm expecting that you put in about the same. So I just want to thank you for your hard work.
You are very welcome. You are very welcome. This is this is a hobby that we all love, and I would like to have you on board every single time.
Right.
Well, I can't, and this is what Alex and I can do to bring you closer and give you. Okay. So this is what Alex and I can do, and I see Ryan there driving. Ryan, pay attention. And there's a trooper right next the next mile, so watch out. So this is what we do for the ECR. We love the ECR. The ECR has opened its arms for us and has welcomed us in such a way that I was never thinking. And you know, I really appreciate all you guys, not only the big brass and all the controllers, all the facilitators, everybody, but you know, the people that make the ECR live and pump. I wake up every morning, I say hello to my wife, say hello to my kids, I take breakfast, and then the first thing I do after getting ready, switch on the HT and try to get in there.
Carlos, good presentation. Nice to see you. Hey, those black boxes, if it gets into water, can they send a signal out for days, or how long do the batteries last? Because you remember
the battery's supposed to last 30 days, and they are waterproof down to like 3,000 feet or something like that.
Yeah, because remember those helicopters and plane crashes.
Yeah, they are pretty watertight. They can last a long time down there. Obviously, the batteries will be used for the pinger, as they call it. It's like a little sonar when they go down there. It's just like the little lights on the life vests on the airplanes. When they contact water, they start working. This is just like a pinger, so it goes down in the water and it's supposed to ping out, ping, 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 for the sonars to detect it. So that's how they work.
Another
They
question
supposed.
is how good of quality is the sound recording when the investigators retrieve them and they try to play them back?
It's a microphone in the cockpit. You'd be surprised how good it is in getting all the noises, all the sounds of the switches and the alarms and bells and whistles that go off there. It's very, very, very fine-tuned microphone. It's, you see it is a small one, a little tiny microphone with 7 holes in it, but it gets everything.
And if water gets into it, they're still able to hear stuff if the
Well,
black box will be cracked.
if the microphones are wired to the black boxes. The black boxes are mounted on in the tail of the airplane, and the microphone we're talking about is in the cockpit. So the cockpit voice recording is doing what it's supposed to, recording the voices and the noises and the switches and everything that goes on in the cockpit.
Wow.
And it's recorded, and they put it in the back of the airplane because it's usually the safest place, the one that's, you know, less damaged when you crash or when you have a problem or when you damage the airplane. That's the least a risky part in the plane. That's the most survivable part.
And if the batteries go dead, they can still retrieve audio data.
Sorry?
And if the batteries go dead in the black boxes, they can still hear and get all the data.
Yes, the batteries are there.
How are they saved?
They are solid state chips that they record. It's just like an SD card. Once you take it out of the camera, once you take it out of the radio, the computer, the data is saved in there. They work just like an SD card. Anybody?
I've got an easy one for you, Carlos.
Carlos, I don't know about you asking me a question. You're the guru here.
Now, something I have always wondered about. I know that they have it on, you know, like Piper Cubs and little small prop planes and stuff like that. But does an aircraft like the one that you and Alex fly, does that have a key?
No.
Oh,
They have a key. They have a key to lock the doors.
They probably
Once
have a
you-
push button to start
if you
like
can
a
get
car.
get
Start
started.
button.
Alex?
I said, if you can get in the airplane, you can start it.
Like
All
a
right.
And
push
it's
button.
yeah, I know if I throw this out here, a lot of guys will be like, "Oh my God, really?" So most of the times, the airplanes you see at the airports, they're open. They're not locked.
That's reassuring.
Some of the like
Thank you,
a lot
Carlos.
of the airplanes now, the high, they have really good locks. Once you're in, I mean, the keys are very secure. But some of the old airplanes, like we used to fly, when I used to fly a Learjet, I could open it with, well, I've opened it with a knife. I've opened it with, we have these things called jiggle keys. They're just really dull old keys from my file cabinet, and it would open most of the doors.
Yeah. Yeah, the older airplanes, they have the little you know, cabinet locks, and you can just like open them with anything.
I locked myself out of a Learjet and I opened it with the awl of a Swiss Army knife. I get in there and it turned. So,
Yeah, there you go. I got it.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I
But
don't
yeah,
imagine you have too many break-ins, so.
usually we don't have break-ins. It's very it's very unheard of.
Mm.
You know, once
I bought my son a stick. I said, don't worry about locking your doors. Nobody can drive it.
right, exactly.
Right, that's right.
So yeah, Charles, the only keys we use for the airplanes are to open and close the doors and the compartments and the access covers, but they don't have a key to get the airplane going.
All right. Well, thank you, Carlos. Great presentation, by the way.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Yeah, but Carlos, your plane for the most part is in a hangar, which is locked and secure, and they got to get through airport security to get into that area anyways.
Yeah, going over the first line of defense, which is the airport security and the gated hangars and all that stuff, it's super tough and it's very well guarded. So a lot of people, the community inside the airport, not only the pilots, but the line guys, the people on the FBOs, the mechanics, everybody, they're just like when you go into the airport, you're in a different state of mind. You see something you don't like, and you're challenging that person immediately. Hey, where's your ID? What are you doing there? You can't be here. So everybody's just like on high alert. It's a community, just like the ham community. You become a family, even though you don't know the guys helping you put the fuel in the airplane or load the bags or just marshaling you into a spot or out of the spot. It's just like it's your brother, it's your mother, it's your father, it's your sister. It's a community, so everybody's looking out for everybody.
Yep, everyone's wearing one of those ID badges.
To have one of those around your neck. If you don't have it, you go like, "Hey, are you supposed to be here?"
We've all seen Airplane Repo.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I got a question for you, Carlos.
Yes.
Hey, if say the passengers are really bored watching TV and stuff, could they listen in on the HF?
There are provisions aboard some airplanes that have a third audio panel for a third seat in the cockpit. Obviously, when you buy or you get the airplane, you get to pick the options with the manufacturer, and some of them do have the third seat and the third audio panel. As a matter of fact, one of the airplanes we fly has the third audio panel, and one of the client's family members, that person is doing their stuff for getting the license. They're making their way through the flight school. So we found a long cable so we could stick it into the audio panel and stretch it all the way back to the cabin so people can share the headsets and listen to whoever or whatever we're listening to into the headset. If we're talking on HF, they will listen to HF. If we're talking on VHF to the tower, getting a clearance for takeoff or landing, they will listen to that too.
But on the speakers, like in the back area where the passengers are, like, do they have speakers like you talk to them and you can patch it through?
I have not seen the connection to do that, but I think it could be possible. Alex, have you seen that?
They'd have to be really bored.
Back there is they do have speakers for their entertainment systems, and also for you notice on the audio panel there's a PA, so we can click that, key the mic, it'll chime in the back, and we can give an announcement, let them know there's turbulence coming or something like that. But they can't. Outside of that, they're just listening to whatever music or movies they're watching. They can't really listen to any of the ATC communications. They'd have to come up front to listen to that.
All right, that answers that. Thank you, sir, and it was an awesome presentation. I enjoyed it.
You are very welcome.
Is there any equipment that they can't personally use because it will interfere?
It will not work, Vicky, because the airplane will become a Faraday cage. And I've tried so many times using my HTs, and it's very short range. You would think that you would hit repeaters 200 miles from the air. And some airplanes, they have plexiglass windshields, and it works. Others, they have glass windshields, laminated glass windshields, and those windshields are coated with a very thin layer of gold, and it creates like a Faraday cage.
Oh, wow.
So it's not going to work unless you have a connection to an outside antenna.
Is the gold a temperature thing?
Sorry?
Or is the gold a temperature thing or a strength thing?
No, it's a coating for static electricity dissipation and heating properties. The windshields are heated.
Temperature thing. Okay.
Multiple lines of wires, very tiny wires that heat up the windshield inside, so it doesn't freeze up, and you can just like still look outside when you're coming down, and the water doesn't condense inside.
Hey, Carlos, does that also help with RX exposure when you're up towards the sun?
Yes, they are. They are UV coated. They are UV resistant, and they filter it. They recommend using sunscreen, but they are supposed to filter most of the UV lights up there.
Well, it's certainly a nice introduction.
Mhm.
What you do. It was very appreciated.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share
And
the
it was
link.
fun.
I'm going to share the link for that. Wait a minute. Let me find it. I had it here. Lost it
For the
again.
video. This is also being recorded, so it'll be on YouTube in a couple days.
Perfect. Share. I'm going to put the link here on the
Okay. We'll put the link also in the video description when we get it up.
All right, there it is. I think if you click it, you'll get there. Yep. If you click that link or copy it, save it in a place in your computer so you can go back to the video and make fun of me and the next time you see me and whatever you want to do. All right, gents, it's been a pleasure having you for this presentation. I'm sure I'm speaking also for Alex, who's driving up there to back to his QTH up in Gainesville. I think it's time for the Ask an Elmer, Be an Elmer here in the ECR room. So I'm going to clear it up for you guys to keep doing what you do, and we'll be calling this to an end. I'm returning the Zoom room to its normal ECR use.
Great job,
Carlos.
Alex.
Great job, Alex.
I think you.
Great job, guys.
Thank
I
you
think-
very much, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Carlos and Alex. Alex also.
I think
Thank
you
you.
explained everything so well that you went beyond what they could ask.
Yeah, I was waiting with questions. Anybody? Are you sleeping? Are you there? Come on.
Yeah, well,
I bore you
you
to death.
explained it in so much more
Ask your
depth
questions
beyond
in
what
so
people realize is there that there weren't any questions left.
And I was trying to do it as easy as possible, and I still,
Yeah, you
had
still
to go-
did. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
there were a lot of antennas. I didn't know there were that many.
Yeah, how many
Yeah,
there
that
were?
was a lot of antennas.
A lot of bands too, 75 megs, 300,
Yeah.
UHF, VHF, LHF, SHF, Super HF, XHF, everything.
Well, thank you very much.
You are very welcome, Bill. Vicky, make sure Dick gets the link.
Yep, he's been texting me.
Will.
Okay.
He
Good deal.
can't walk away for 2 minutes without needing to know everything that's going on.
They
Well, Dick,
mentioned they got a third seat up there, Vicky, so you can do some logging.
There
Okay.
you go.
we're gonna start selling lottery tickets for a once in a lifetime experience aboard the ECR. You do the contacts.
You'd need a lot more gold on those windows. I'm allergic to the sun. I don't want to be that close.
I tell you, you'll be good up there.
All right, well, normally we start Ask an Elmer at 8 o'clock, so you guys are welcome to stick around if you just want to check it out.
I will stick around.